So just a post-fight review on the Shawn Porter versus Terrence Crawford fight. It was a very interesting fight. It was a very back and forth fight. Even though Shawn Porter had plenty of moments in there, I feel like for me, I actually had Porter winning by 1 point before the stoppage actually happened. I think his activity, the fact that he's thrown more punches than ever, everything that he was doing in terms of his output was the reason why I actually had him ahead, because of the fact that I feel like he was just throwing more punches, he was landing more punches, and there was a few rounds that I absolutely gave it to Shawn Porter. But obviously Terrence Crawford did what Terrence Crawford did, which was find a way to win against the odds. Now don't get it twisted, it wasn't like a robbery. It was a very close fight, and it could have went either way if it ever got to the scorecards. But in terms of Terrence Crawford took care of that, and he managed to actually stop Shawn Porter, and became the first fighter to ever do it as well. So it's a very impressive cap that he's got in his career, because Shawn Porter's been in there against the elite of the welterweight division for the longest time. The only fighter that he never fought was actually Pacquiao. But apart from Pacquiao, he's fought everyone, and for whatever reason, they can never get him out of there. I think ERROL Spence came pretty close when he dropped him, but even so, none of them have got to a position when they actually got him out there. So from that position, he's got a feather in his cap, Terrence Crawford. I mean, he's managed to stop a guy that was never stopped before. And don't get it twisted, I think there is a bit of controversy about his father throwing in the towel, because I feel like Shawn Porter could have continued. But at the same time, I feel like the writing was written in the wall. I mean, he dropped him twice. I mean, Terrence Crawford, regardless of what you think about him, is one of the most lethal finishers in the game. He finds a way to knock people out. I mean, he's a slick boxer. I mean, you can't really put Terrence Crawford in a category, and I'm going to make a video about this. He's a puncher because he stopped his last 12 opponents. He stopped his last 11 opponents. But on top of that, he's a slick boxer. On top of that, he's ambidextrous. On top of that, he can box. On top of that, he can punch. On top of that, he can fight. He's got dog in him. I mean, you're literally going in there against a fighter that has got several different styles. And he's so versatile. He can switch up from southpaw to orthodox whenever he wants to. He can change strategy. I mean, this could be one of the most sophisticated fighters I've ever seen. Even Floyd Mayweather. I mean, Floyd Mayweather didn't have that ability to be as ambidextrous as Terrence Crawford is. And from a legacy perspective, when has Floyd Mayweather ever unified a weight class? I don't think he's ever done that. He's picked up world titles from different weight classes, but he's never fully unified the way Terrence Crawford has. So from a legacy perspective, Terrence Crawford has done something that Floyd Mayweather has never done, which is actually unify a division. And from an ability perspective, he's got an ability that Floyd Mayweather doesn't have. He's got the ability to be ambidextrous and fight southpaw and orthodox with equal proficiency, and that's something that I know there's loads of Flomos or Floyd fans out there, but that's something that you can't deny. I mean, that's one ability that Terrence Crawford has that Floyd Mayweather doesn't have, the ability to fight ambidextrously. And on top of that, I think Terrence Crawford is more of a finisher than Floyd Mayweather is. Terrence Crawford has got that sort of like a Sugar Ray Leonard type killer instinct. Once he smells blood, he's trying to get you out of there. There's plenty of times in Floyd Mayweather's career where he smelled blood with certain opponents, but because of his risk-averse mentality, he'd rather take a step back. There was a time in his career where when he fought Robert Guerrero, and Robert Guerrero looked like he didn't want to be in there, he could have stopped him, but he decided to just lay off it. There was a time when Shane Mosley was getting outboxed. He could have stopped him. Again, he laid off it. So to some extent, Terrence Crawford is definitely one of my most favourite fighters in the sport. I mean, there's something about him that I just love. I mean, he's got a style that's suitable for everyone. If you like watching a fighter that fights, then Terrence Crawford's got that for you. If you like slick boxing, Terrence Crawford's got that for you. If you like amazing ability, Terrence Crawford's got that with his ambidextrous skill. I mean, to some extent, he's a fighter that's there's something for everyone to watch when you watch a Terrence Crawford fight. But anyway, back to the fight. I did actually have Shawn Porter ahead before he actually got stopped. I feel like his work rate was better. I feel like he was landing more punches. I feel like he was swarming him. But then towards the 12th round, when he first dropped him, it looked like Terrence Crawford found his level, he found his range, and he at that point he was just going to finish him. So to some extent, I feel like his father might have made the right decision to pull him out of there, because he did drop him twice before he stopped him. I think his best round in terms of Porter was the 5th round. The 5th round, I feel like he landed so many punches on him. They were both constantly changing their levels and changing their tactics as they were going at it. Obviously, you had Shawn Porter constantly moving, and then at times he would just completely swarm Crawford. But then Crawford would do the same thing. I remember when he almost done a check hook and threw Shawn Porter into the corner. There was many moments when he was wrestling with him in there. I did actually have Porter somewhat ahead. I think it was an impressive performance. I'll give it a B grade to Crawford. I think it's a B grade performance. I wouldn't give it an A grade, because I think on a certain night when it's purely his night, I think Crawford could have gave a better performance. But at the same time, I feel like it wasn't meant to be, and he just did what he had to do to get the victory, which was to knock him out, and he managed to do something that no fighter has ever done, which is knock out Porter. And he's been in there with very good fighters like Keith Thurman, ERROL Spence, obviously Kell Brook, and now he's fought Crawford, and Crawford's managed to stop him. So yeah, congratulations on Crawford, and I hope to see the Spence fight soon. But yeah, in my opinion, I think Porter gave a very good showing for himself, and if this is honestly his last fight and he's going to retire after this fight, then he could actually go out on his shield and say that he gave Crawford probably one of the hardest fights of his career. The only fighter that I can think that has given him a harder fight is probably Gamboa, and that was in the lower weight classes. But apart from that, I think Shawn Porter's right up there. I think Porter's given him a lot of trouble. And I've seen a lot of people say online, oh man, I think Spence is definitely going to beat Crawford after this performance, because they weren't that impressed. But what you got to remember with Crawford, I think he struggles with fighters that are a little bit smaller than him. Obviously Gamboa was a little bit smaller, was a little slick, and had that movement, herky-jerky movement that was a little bit reminiscent to Shawn Porter. Shawn Porter does have like a bit of a herky-jerky style. It's hard to like categorize him at times. Sometimes he's moving around, other times he's a sawman, he's putting it on you. He's not one type of style. He's not purely a sawman, he's not purely a boxer. He's like a mix of both. So yeah, I think it took a bit of time for Crawford to find his range when he went in there against Porter, but then eventually he figured him out and he managed to stop him in the 12th round. So yeah, it was a good performance, and I'm very much looking to see who Crawford fights next, because Crawford is definitely one of my favourite fighters in the sport right now. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Tell me your opinion below, and like and subscribe to the channel. I've got a lot more content coming your way. Peace out.